Hello everyone. Most of you are already familiar with the Grand Paris Express and the Société du Grand Paris that has been managing this project for 10 years now. In this highly unusual context worldwide, we wanted to take a moment with you to review progress on the project and our financing strategy. Today, the 4 lines of the Grand Paris Express are under construction. Delivery of this new transport network is planned for 2030. It will radically improve travel for the millions of passengers who use the transport network daily in the capital region. This will boost the standing and reputation of Paris around the world. 2030 is coming quickly. There are now 18 tunnel boring machines at work in the metropolitan areas, and there will be 23 by the end of 2021. This is a world record. The construction works are providing a tremendous economic and social boost. Around 7,000 people are hard at work on the construction sites, building the tunnels and stations. And close to 5,000 companies, including many small and medium-sized businesses, have already taken part in this key project. We are not slowing down. Now that the French economy is getting back into gear, looking for the drivers of a sustainable and virtuous growth needed to face the challenges of the 21st century, the Grand Paris Express has a key role to play. The project is a driving force that is enabling many companies to look to the future with confidence and optimism. The Société du Grand Paris, aware of its responsibility, has opted for green financing to raise debt on the financial markets. This choice was made from our very first issue 2 years ago. It was particularly well received by the markets. They understood that this is a sound project that is being conducted on behalf of the French state by a company with strong credibility. The project management is now firmly in place. In just 2 years, the workforce of the Société du Grand Paris has tripled in order to carry out the next phases of work that will take us all the way to project completion. More than words, this growth demonstrates the attractiveness of our company and the confidence in our project. Confidence is key after the crisis we have just experienced and when facing the uncertainty that still remains. Of course, this health crisis has had consequences on the pace of our work, but it has not on the level of our revenue. In the spring of 2020, the lockdown caused by the pandemic brought activity to a halt on work sites for a period of 6 to 8 weeks. New health rules were swiftly adopted, allowing work to resume quickly. All the work sites are now up and running again, operating at the highest safety standards. For the project as a whole, the slight delay in the work schedule does not bring into question our objective of proceeding with commissioning in 2030. While the world economy had to pause, we were protected from economic effects by our business model because it is based on tax revenues backed by the French state. In addition, the ceiling on the company's borrowing under the EMTN program was raised to 20 billion euros during this period. This has allowed us to place 4 to 5 billion euros per year in orders through 2023. This puts out a clear signal to the business world that needs longer-term visibility and shows that the Société du Grand Paris is fulfilling its role as a major player for companies and the real economy. We are especially proud of the signs of confidence that are being keenly watched by investors. With your renewed confidence, we are ready to play our part in the green stimulus that is required for our economies to become stronger and to be able to cope with future crises. This is how we will build a way of life that is more balanced, sustainable, and safer.
Yes, as you know, the Grand Paris Express is by its very nature a response to the challenges of our times. These are more pressing than ever. With this in mind, this year, we rolled out our corporate social responsibility process to guide the Société du Grand Paris as it ramps up its activity. Our economic, social, and environmental commitments are organized around 4 main principles. Being a major player in creating the city of tomorrow, designing and building while preserving the environment, working both with and for local stakeholders, and ensuring that in all situations our approach is both ethical and socially responsible. These principles were formalized in the past year, but they are the same that have guided us all along the way since 2010. As a contracting authority, we are dedicated to maintain integrity and exemplarity as our core guiding principles. Especially important are preventing corruption, influence peddling, fraud, favoritism, and conflict of interest. Our CSR strategy has now made the Grand Paris Express a key driver in the transition of these local territories, in line with COP21 and the Paris Climate Agreement signed almost 5 years ago. This is an energy, ecological, social, cultural, and urban transition. We talk of transitioning, but in some cases we are talking about a genuine revolution. Let me give you 2 concrete examples. First, with the new metro, the people of Clichy-Montfermeil, a Paris suburb that has long suffered from a lack of efficient public transport, will be able to access 11 times more jobs than before. Second, travel time between Orly Airport and the Gustave Roussy Institute, one of the world's leading cancer hospitals, will be cut in 4. As you can see, the Grand Paris Express is more than a transportation project. It is a powerful engine for jobs, professional integration, and social cohesion. Our procurement procedures require bidders to reserve 20% of subcontracting or co-contracting work for small and medium-sized companies. They also include integration clauses, providing that at least 5% of work hours on Grand Paris Express construction sites are reserved for people with employment difficulties. Today, as we are starting to see the social consequences of the pandemic, we can easily understand just how important this commitment is. The time for designing the project is now behind us. We are currently in the building phase, and our objectives are achievable. And this is largely thanks to our sound financing model. This is what has enabled us to keep going and support the economy and employment, even during the COVID crisis. Our financing model is strong because we have the resources we need to invest and to secure the progress of the work.
That's why we have decided to speed up the implementation of our financing strategies this year. Since 2018, thanks to your continuous support, we have already raised almost 10 billion euros through 12 bond issues, whether public or private placements. This represents almost 30% of the 35 billion debt ceiling associated with the total project cost. That makes us among the world's biggest non-sovereign green bond issuer. Thank you again for placing your trust in us. As Thierry Dellard explained, the health crisis has not cast doubt on the need for the new metro or its development process. The Grand Paris Express is taking shape a little more each day, with our eye on the first line opening, taking place as early as 2024. The crisis had no significant impact on our revenues, and the financing is in place for the whole year. If anything, this crisis has confirmed just how sound our financial model is. Our financing is indeed secured by more than 700 million euros in annual tax revenue that we receive directly from the French state, and also thanks to all the financial transactions carried out in the course of 2020, providing us with the cash flow we need for our day-to-day investments. As a 100% state-owned project company dedicated to building the Grand Paris Express, our main mission is to control the cost of financing the new metro. To take up that challenge, the Supervisory Board has authorized us to raise the annual funding program to 12 billion euros in order to be able to pre-finance our future financing needs, depending, of course, on market conditions. To date, we have raised 4.8 billion on extra long maturities, thanks, for instance, to our new 50-year bond, the longest benchmark syndicated green bond ever. Raising a further 7 billion is therefore possible. At the same time, we have raised the ceiling of a 100% green EMTN program from 10 to 20 billion. No matter what happens, this ceiling will not exceed the authorization cap of 35 billion set by governmental decree associated with the amount of the project. However, everything will depend on the prevailing market conditions in the coming months. This additional funding program will represent an opportunity to pre-finance the works to be carried out on the Grand Paris Express over the next 3 years. Pre-financing the project is also a way of securing it. In industrial terms, it means firmer order books for suppliers, thereby giving them longer-term visibility and optimizing costs in the current situation. And from a financial point of view, obviously, it is a way of securing the cost of its financing and ultimately its total cost and the debt repayment time horizon. This will then enable us to pursue a financing strategy structured around the liquidity of our 100% green issues, a full SGP credit curve up to 50 years, and private placements tailored to your requirements. It may be therefore an opportunity for you to gain access to all credit in a more intensive manner and at an earlier date than initially anticipated. It is important to note that in terms of fund allocation, this pre-financing strategy will create a momentary decorrelation between the amounts issued and the annual scope of eligible assets. The Société du Grand Paris is capped at 35 billion, so this guarantees a perfect match between the amounts raised and the eligible assets. As an illustration, to date, over 19 billion have already been contracted for the Grand Paris Express.